this scourge does not leave anyone behind. Most of you have been following, I think a few days ago, one of the members of parliament, Barnabas Tinkasimire, was abducted in the same way we've already seen, thrown into a drone, disappeared. I was personally approached by the family members because he's a member. He's a member of the Law Society. He's a member of parliament. And incidentally, he's also a member of the ruling party. But did not spare him. If you've been following his ordeal, how he was, taken around, his clothes torn, beaten, he's still undergoing treatment. One would wonder, or for those who think this is not for us, maybe we're in government or we're in power, or maybe I'm holding a particular office. A few days ago, you saw one gentleman who is accused of having committed murder, who was, I think, a commander of the flying squad. He's the one who was actually leading torture, I think, before. But he's also crying, saying, I've been tortured, I can't move, I can't walk. Now that shows you that as Ugandans, we need to learn. Those are just a few things that should show you. Because the other time, you failed to the other side, you're protected. But now, you're facing a similar situation and is crying for help. I know, of course, public sentiments are different, especially those who failed victims under that person's hand. And some people are saying, now you also face it because we went through this under your hands. But what am I trying to say? Should we accept that kind of impunity? Just before then, our own member, Abed Nasa, was abducted in a similar manner. He spent weeks in custody where no one knew where he was. We rose up and started looking for him, and his ordeal, when you listen to it, though he was blindfolded, tortured, taken in, funny places, he's denied access to his family members, doctors, and he's a member of the Law Society. It had to take the intervention of the radical new bar to even file applications for habeas corpus, going to court to get bail, and he's accused of a mere offense. But the torture he goes through, that's a member of the Law Society. You've heard the story of Kakwenza. You saw what happened in the wake of the Kawempe by-elections. We had journalists being beaten in broad daylight. Now this should make you realize that it is bigger than any of us think, and no one is safe, regardless of who you are, where you fall. Maybe I could say with the exceptions of a few, which cannot also be for long, because if you're a perpetrator now, the next day might be a victim. If you keep quiet now, it will come for you. And this reminds me of what we are saying, we need to have a collective effort. Each and every one of us has a role to play. Because if you keep quiet, and you're saying they've not come for me, they've come for another person, the next day, it will be you. And as ULS, we stand with all the survivors and victims of human rights violations. Torture is not just a legal violation. It is a moral strain, a betrayal of our humanity, and a threat to our democracy. No justification, no circumstance, and no uniform can ever make it acceptable. It should not be an excuse for anything. There is no justification whatsoever for torture. We have talked, shared stories, analyzed laws, and dissected the gaps. But the time for mere talk is over. Because however much we've done all this, we do not see any change. Today must mark the beginning of uncompromising action. We must say everything as it is. If you hear, say this is the radical new bar, the approach has changed, it's because we've realized that the old ways of doing things does not produce results. You cannot, it's only a fool who expects different results if they keep doing this same things the same way. It it will definitely keep giving you different results. That is why we chose the radical path as the radical new governing council, because we want to see change, we want results. The problem is not the lack of laws. You must be aware that Uganda has one of the most progressive anti-torture legal framework on the continent. The Constitution makes freedom from torture a non-derogable right. It's the 1995 Constitution, which all of us, I'm sure, have read or have heard about. The Prevention and Prohibition of Torture Act criminalizes it. But laws without enforcement are just empty words. And empty words do not protect citizens. They're just there as decoration, but they are not helping us. It doesn't make sense. They still remain empty if they cannot be implemented, if they cannot be used to achieve the purpose for which they were made. With all those laws, and the legal framework we have, and the institutions we have to try and implement and operationalize the constitutional provisions, we continue to see this vice happening. We still go ahead, we continue to see torture survivors win compensation in courts of law before the Uganda Human Rights Commission. I'm sure if we asked that doctor should give you a list of people who have been awarded their awards. People have been awarded. The few have had an opportunity to be heard. We've seen these compensations. But then where are the convictions? If I ask anyone in this room, if they can give us an example of anyone who has been convicted, we have laws criminalizing torture, meaning they are perpetrators. By the time there's been a compensation, there's someone behind that. Where are the commanders and officers being held personally liable? Because we've seen the biggest perpetrators of these heinous crimes are people in power. They are officers in uniform. Some of them have been recognized and picked up, but have we seen any of them being held accountable personally? Until perpetrators are prosecuted and punished, justice for these victims will remain a myth. And we shall continue having this vice because we are not sending the right message to the right people. We cannot normalize torture under whatever circumstances. We cannot excuse it as a discipline, interrogation, or just doing one's job. We cannot allow safe houses, illegal detentions, and politically motivated arrests to continue unchecked. If we tolerate this, we are complicit. I have personally come across situations where you go to police, you find someone has been arrested. They've spent over 2 weeks, 3 weeks in police custody. I was personally handling a matter recently. And when you speak to this person, they are telling you they've been tortured. And even the person in charge of the police station is telling you that person is being held by the flying squad who do not have jurisdiction. And they are being moved from police station to police station. And when you try to speak to them, they will tell you, you know, we are doing our job, that person is a thief. What happened to the presumption of innocence? What happened to humanity? And why do we allow this to continue happening? Let this dialogue serve as a call to collective resistance. Every individual, every community, every leader, whether in government, political parties, civil society, media, or the general public must stand up and refuse torture. To the security agencies, this is our message from the Radical New Bar. You have a constitutional duty to protect, not to persecute. To the political class, Power must never be maintained through pain. There's no need for bloodshed. It's not justifiable. To the courts and oversight bodies, the public must seek justice, not delays and silence. And I want to believe that is why you had some colleagues having, bashing the Uganda Human Rights Commission. It has a statutory mandate, constitutional mandate, and there's a feeling of dissatisfaction in the way the mandate is being executed. And to our citizens, your silence embodies the oppressor. Your voice is your power. Use it. In that spirit, the Uganda Law Society, under the leadership of the Radical New Bar, stands to affirm the declaration against electoral violence. As we approach the 2026 elections, we declare that we shall not accept violence, we shall not accept torture, abductions, or intimidation as tools of political competition. And to that end, we urge every stakeholder to commit to making the next election free from fear and brutality. I thank you all for listening to me.